If you enjoy eating hash browns with breakfast, let me show you an easy way how to prepare them on this episode of Out Loud Geek. Welcome to another episode of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss science fiction, fantasy, cooking, the outdoors, and more. Today on this episode of Out Loud Geek, I'm going to be cooking hash browns. I'm sure many of you out there really like to eat hash browns. And the particular type that I'm going to be using is a dehydrated form made by Idaho Spuds. What I like about these particular hash browns is that you only have to add hot water to the carton. Then after you wait, you then pour the rehydrated hash browns into a frying pan and they fry beautifully. I also add some seasoning, which is some no salt 21 spice seasoning that really makes them taste good. So let's see how these hash browns will come out. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to turn on the hot water pot here to get the water heating. Then I'm going to open up the carton of hash browns. And all you have to do is just open it like it was a carton of milk. Then you make sure that it's sufficiently opened up so that you can easily pour the water inside, and you can see the dehydrated potatoes that are inside the carton. One thing I really like about these dehydrated potatoes is that they don't require any refrigeration or freezing because they're dehydrated, so they can just sit inside of a cupboard and they take up very little space. The hot water is nearly fully heated at this point. I just have to wait for the pot to automatically shut off when the water is ready. The instructions on the hash browns say that the water should be at least 120 degrees. Since I'm using boiling water, it is definitely much hotter than that. And now the pot has turned off. I will pick this up, and now I will pour it in with the potatoes. And you fill it up to this line, so it's very easy to see how much you've put in. Spill just a little bit on the stovetop, but it's no big deal. Now you close this, and you wait for 12 minutes, because that's how long it takes for the hot water to rehydrate the potatoes. Okay, 3 minutes are now remain for the potatoes to finish rehydrating. So I'm going to start heating up the stove, and I'm only going to bring it up to about a 3 because you don't want to overheat the pan initially, because when you put the hash browns into the pan, you don't want them to splatter too much. So don't overheat the pan before you put them in. And as the pan heats, I'm going to go ahead and add 1 to 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. There's 1, there's 2, and I'm going to spread that oil around the pan. Just by lifting it up and letting gravity move it around. Okay, the potatoes are now fully rehydrated because that is the 12-minute timer that I set. So now you simply open up the container. And you want to open it completely so that it's easier for the potatoes to come out. And I will lift that up so you can see just how rehydrated the potatoes are. They are now completely rehydrated, and they now come up all the way to where I had poured water in. And then you just turn it over, give it a couple taps, and now you are in business. You wouldn't think that these had been dehydrated potatoes before you put them into the pan. And now that that's in, I'm going to raise the temperature just a tiny bit. And I will use some of that organic no salt seasoning that I showed earlier, because we like it. It tastes really good. like so. And now you just wait for it to cook. Potatoes are nicely sizzling, so now I'm going to start turning them over very carefully to balance out the heating. Also mix the seasonings up a little bit. Of course, they always stick to the spatula, that's to be expected. And you just continue cooking. Going to turn the potatoes again. It's been a couple of minutes. And you can see that there's more browning occurring now. And it's a good idea to hold on to the handle of the pan so that it doesn't start turning when you try and do this. You can also use a spatula to break it up a little bit if you prefer. I try to get all the potatoes down onto the lowest surface of the pan. And now I'm going to turn them over again. So I'll grab onto the pan. And yeah, now they're starting to really nicely brown. That's starting to look really nice. And I'm going to turn them again. Again, they're browning up very nicely. This is the key, is you don't want to overheat the pan, because then you'll have not only burnt hash browns, if you don't monitor them more closely, you also run the risk of damaging the frying pan. Overheating frying pans is what causes them to warp. And I'm going to turn them over again to see how they're doing. So that looks really good now. Let's turn these things over again, see how they're doing. Oh yes. That's getting much closer to the level of browning that I would like to have. And less is sticking to the back of the spatula, which is telling me that they are cooking nicely. Let's turn these hash browns over again and see how close they are to being done. These are actually looking like they're about where we want them to be. Very nicely browned, not overdone, just very brown, which means they will be very nice and crispy. Of course, this is all a matter of taste. You can take them off the heat before this if you prefer, or you can take them further down the heat if you want. It's all a matter of personal taste. But I do believe these are done, so I'm going to turn off the stove and move the pan off of the heat and get ready to plate. And now I'm ready to plate the hash browns, which I will put on these two plates here. You can get 2 good-sized portions of hash browns from 1 carton, or you can get 3 medium-sized portions, or you can get 4 smaller portions. It all depends on how far you want it to go and how many plates you are serving. And with these hash browns, I'm going to be serving them today with sausage that I heated in the microwave oven. And I like to put a little bit of ketchup on mine. go. And here is a closer look of the hash browns that I put some ketchup on with some breakfast sausages. These are going to be really, really good. From Out Loud Geek, bon appetit. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button below. And if you'd like to see more of our videos in the future, please subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the red subscribe button. And please feel free to leave a comment. Until next time, this is Out Loud Geek.